Welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Galetta, aka Hampton Mike, along with my partner Brian the Ranger Tart, bringing you another solid NFL special that you just keep love talking about. Today we're going to strut up to the NFC North, talk about, well, you can say a cold weather team, but they play indoors, and you know, it's nice up there. But anyway, we got a guy out of the Michigan area to talk a little Detroit Lions with us, even with the loss of Calvin Johnson. We have on the line with us Ed Thompson. Ed, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Attaboy, Ed. All right, Ed, we're gonna talk a little Detroit Lions. I can't wait. Brian, stat me.
Detroit Lions. They finished 7-9 last season. They finished third place in the NFC North. Did not go to the playoffs. Offensively, they were pretty one-dimensional. They were 32nd in the league on the ground, which is last place, but 9th through the air. Defensively, pretty average. 19th against the run and 15th against the pass. They went with Taylor Decker, offensive tackle out of Ohio State, with a 16th overall pick. They added a couple receivers in free agency. They did add Marvin Jones from the Bengals and Anquan Boldin, formerly of those San Fran 49ers, pretty much to fill the void left by a surprisingly retired Calvin Johnson. The league will miss his talents. What a great talent he was. Again, at the end of an era there, retires at the young age of 30. I'm not sure what's in the water in Detroit, but they seem to be losing very, very high-level players at a young age.
Ed, you're not near Flint, are you?
Yes. So, you know, without his #1 target, we're really going to see what Matt Stafford's got. If he can make the players around him better, or if it was Calvin Johnson that was keeping him afloat this whole time. They're going to look to spread it around. Golden Tate is a target machine. Anquan Boldin is very underrated at his age. And Marvin Jones is a guy that, you know, you didn't hear too much about in Cincinnati, but I think is a nice addition. Amir Abdullah was a guy who had a lot of hype on him after being just a stud in the preseason and early on in the year, but he faded as the season went on. They're going to rely on him quite a bit to improve on his numbers because, again, Detroit's rushing attack was dead last in the league. Probably why they took Taylor Decker, an offensive tackle, trying to get some space there for guys like Abdullah to run. But again, losing Calvin Johnson's huge. There's a lot of questions with this team. So, and I know it sucks. He was the face of the franchise for a long time. How upset are Lions fans that we're losing Calvin Johnson this early? I mean, he had to have a couple more years left of high-profile football.
Well, yeah, but we're not exactly upset because we understand. The man has taken a beat down, and when you look at him last season, a lot of times he wouldn't get straight up. He would sit on his knees for a second before standing to his feet, you know. And when I say he wasn't going to win a Super Bowl anytime soon, I don't think. No. You know, so that takes away from motivation, you know, and it wears on you.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Oh, in that sense too, with the loss of Calvin Johnson, how does Matt Stafford recover from this? Because that's a huge weapon to lose. Although he has 3 receivers coming in, maybe he got a little tread on the tires with Anquan Boldin, things like that. How do you see Matt Stafford really playing out this year? Because here's a guy who's been there for a while and really has had good years, but really hasn't gotten Detroit over the top. What's the feel out in Detroit about Matt Stafford this year?
Well, over here, you know, we have a lot of mixed opinions. Mine is really about the offensive line. If they block for him, he'll work wonders. It really, of course, if you lose it, you can't really replace a Megatron. But if you block for him, he can really make plays where he can spread the ball because he's so familiar with the new offensive coordinator, who was the quarterback's coach before, you know, taking Joe Lombardi's job. So, and his style is to spread the ball out. And when Calvin Johnson 2 seasons ago was hurt, Tate stepped up, and plus Stafford distributed the ball very well. You know, he had to. He couldn't go to his crutch, which was Calvin Johnson. And I think he can improve, actually, overall improve.
You're absolutely right there. They're going to rely on Golden Tate, who we mentioned was, you know, a guy they brought from Seattle, was a target machine last year. Who do you think steps up to take over the #2 role? I mean, do you see it being Marvin Jones, or does Anquan Boldin channel a fountain of youth and reclaim a big spot there and be the #2 receiver?
You know, it's funny. Over here, we don't say number one or number two anymore. It's 1A or 1B.
There you go. Okay.
So
good way to look at
they're
it.
both the man now. Yeah, so, and Golden Tate refuses to see himself as the number 2 receiver anyway, even when Calvin Johnson was there. You know, that's where it started with the 1A, 1B. You know, it was because Tate really plays like a number 1 receiver. So we respect him. We fans over here, we respect him for that.
We talk about the wide receivers about stepping up a little bit. What do you think about the tight end play of Eric Ebron? What's the pulse on him out there? Is he poised for a big year, or what's going on with him?
Well, it's a make or break season, and the coaching staff and the players are really tight-lipped on his return because he suffered an injury in a mock game last week. So, but his role will increase once he's brought back in healthy. And plus, sometimes he can go out wide. He doesn't necessarily play strictly, big man tight end. He can take it out there.
Right.
And also, since you asked about the position itself, we're waiting on Brandon Pettigrew to come back. He's been out for a while. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in the game.
Yep.
And let me throw his name at you right quick. Cole Witt. I keep hearing about him. He's really doing good things and practice against the Steelers and, before that. Came from a small school in Conrad Word. And he was an undrafted rookie, free agent, and you're gonna hear his name.
Okay. So you talk about we talk a lot about the offense for Detroit. That's really been the focus, I think, for a couple years. But on the defensive side, they did lose Ndamukong Suh to free agency last year. He went down to Miami, took its talents to South Beach, if you will. But I don't think they really missed him a whole lot. I guess their defense was average. It was never really their calling card. Who would you say is somebody, that's playing defense in Detroit that maybe people don't know about, that is going to make a name for himself this year, that's going to, become a household name?
Okay, first of all, let me say this. As far as last year, they lost that whole starting defensive tackle front. That defensive line was left.
Okay.
Not just Ndamukong Fairley, the guy that started in place of Fairley, C.J. Mook, they're all gone.
Yeah.
So they really had to step up. There was a whole other team defense last year. But the biggest hit, to answer your other question, the biggest loss that the Lions had, to me, was DeAndre Levy. DeAndre Levy, when he didn't get to play last year, he had a hip injury that cost the whole season. That was our biggest loss. When he was healthy, he played the last full season a couple of seasons ago. He led the league in solo tackles and second in overall tackles. That is our guys on defense, and we hope that when he comes back this year, he brings that same fire, because that's what the Lions need. That's the heart. That's the name. If people have to have heard of him, but he's not a Pro Bowler. I guess it's a 3-4, 4-3 thing. But he's the man.
Now, Ed, looking at that schedule that Detroit has, I mean, it's not I don't think it's a tremendously hard schedule, but they do have some tricky games now that the Lions are going to have to win to stay in the hunt. Now, they open up against the Colts in Indianapolis. That's no slouch there. The Colts, I think, are going to bounce back a little bit, so that's going to be a tough game. But where do you see, the stretch I see that Detroit's really going to have the strut of despair over here is going to be when they head to Minnesota, they're home against Jacksonville, then they play Minnesota again. But where do you see in the schedule that Detroit's got to really make a move if they're going to have a shot at the playoffs or stay in contention?
I say towards the end of the schedule. I don't have the schedule in front of me or remember right off the top of my head, but I do remember evaluating certain things. And it's just like the previous season. It starts off kind of rough, and then it gets a little easier towards the end. And I think they'll have a second half run just like they did last season. They started off 1-7, then finished 6-2.
Well, I'll give you this.
I think it's going to be the same type of run.
I'll give you this. The last 4 of the season are they host Chicago, they go to New York to play the Giants, they go to Dallas to play Dallas, and they're home for Green Bay. Those last 2 games I think are going to be really crucial if they're even in the makings of a wild card team. I mean, personally, unfortunately, and I know I got like the years, but I don't think Detroit's in the mix this year. But I still think Detroit can make some noise and play a spoiler and screw up some other teams. What's your opinion on that?
Sure, last thing again to kind of bulk up just a little bit.
I think Detroit, they're not going to be in the hunt this year in the way of a wild card, but I definitely think Detroit can really make some noise in the way of messing up some teams for their runs at the playoffs. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think I think that, well, pretty much just like I said, I think it'll be close. I see them like 9 or 7.
Okay, we're going to ask your predictions.
That's not necessarily, you can miss the playoffs at 9 or 7.
Okay, you see him second in division or third in division, or you see him second or third in division then?
Yes.
Okay.
I can see that.
Fair enough.
I can see that. And I mean, really, time will tell. We this football things happen.
Right.
Sometimes injuries, sometimes it's just a team out of the blue just jail at all of a sudden. It's hard to say.
Right. Okay. Well. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for the Detroit Lions today. We want to thank Ed Thompson for getting online with us today and talking a little Detroit Lion from the Michigan area. Ed, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem.
All right, and listen, we're going to keep Ed's name in our the magic roll of all the people that have come on the show for us. So, Ed, if anything happens in Detroit, we want to be able to give you a call and have you come back on the Sports Box, talk a little Lion football. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's great. Great to hear it. Okay.
Only winners here.
That's right, Ed. You're going to learn that only winners come to the Sports Box. You're absolutely privileged to get on today. So that's all the time we have for the Sports Box today. Keep an eye out. We got some good things coming.
Make sure you're following us on social media. We're on Twitter at SportsBox Show. We have a great Facebook page. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Absolutely, because the only opinion that matters at the Sports Box is right here. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Very good.